It's really not sure about this one. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some stuff from my mom's condo to take to her at the nursing home. She's rehabbing from a hip surgery. And this is the route that had the kind of biggest problems, some of the biggest problems when I was on 12.3 on the Model 3 before it transferred over here. I haven't tried it on this one yet. But the issues I had were the common speed variation, but I also had it where it was swerving back and forth near the yellow lines on the state routes, kind of threatening to go left of center a lot. And well, there's someone checking out my car. Cool. So anyway, it was kind of threatening to go left of center, and I was, having to kind of worry about, someone coming up behind me that's a sheriff or something and thinking I'm drunk, because here it is, varying speed and also going back and forth and almost going over center. I'm sure it looked like it was drunk when I was driving it, and I really didn't have time to get pulled over, so I was taking her to get her checked in for surgery, actually. So here it's staying pretty center, so that's good. Now on the way back it was fine, but then on the way from here to here on Ohio 13 it was doing the same thing again. I just said, okay, that's enough, and I ended up having to switch over to auto steer and just go with autopilot. It's the first time I've done that since I think V10. Pretty sure it was V10. So now I am going to see how it does. Now this is daylight, so it is a different scenario. That was nighttime when I was driving to Tiffin. It was early in the morning before sunrise. The way behind me, so I don't have to worry about the people getting mad at me for slowing down here. Seems this area is kind of underserved with FSD on each release, and it takes a while for things to work in this area. Now 11.4.9 actually worked pretty decent. The early versions of 11, there were problems where it would do a lot of phantom braking, phantom slowdowns I called them too, because they weren't necessarily hard brakes, but they were jarring enough that you slow down and you kind of lurch forward a little bit, so not exactly comfortable. Now of course it's doing it here, slowing down, thinking, I don't know what it's thinking. So I just kind of try to let it do what it's doing. See if I can adjust this. Looks like it's off a little bit. Hopefully this is recording okay. The next step is to find out if there's any kind of inexpensive or free software that I can do to edit this without a lot of effort and large learning curve, so that I can post something that's not just really boring and me talking for 45 minutes, because I'm not looking for any kind of monetization, but I'd feel bad wasting someone's time and getting bored. I guess it would be a good way to help you fall asleep. Now, yeah, this is, I wanted to curb it, so I took over. There's a reputation for curbing it, so it seemed like it was going to curb the wheel. I'm not sure if those recordings actually do anything. You can see here it seems to be centered fairly well. It's not really hugging the line too bad. You can tell from my repeater cameras and my rearview mirror. A lot of people don't realize this. They talk about blind spots. You don't really have to have blind spots. You can adjust your side mirrors. You don't need to see behind you in the side mirrors unless maybe your rear view mirror is blocked. So what I do is a couple things I do. First is I make it so that the side mirror can't see the side of the car with my normal head position. Now I can just kind of move my head left or right if I wanted to see behind me. But this allows me to have very little blind spots, so I can look in the left left mirror for when I'm going to change lanes, and then look left, and I can, between those two, I can see the vehicles behind me. And then if I had this, you know, when it's doing the turn signal and it has the display, I always glance down at that too. So between those three, I don't have really a blind spot. It's kind of a paradigm people have to kind of get over. I've always done it that way, and then I saw a video from a automotive YouTuber out of Toledo. I'm trying to think of his name. Chuck? No. It'll come to me. But this YouTuber, he was pointing that out, and I was like, oh, this is just like kind of a mind blow thing. So maybe I blew someone's mind that happened to be watching this, one of the 5 people. But of course, I guess I should give it some acceleration. Apparently 12.3.2.1 hasn't really fixed it wanting to go slower than the speed limit. That's kind of annoying. The other thing I tend to do is I tend to get kind of aggravated when people are tailgating me with their brights on and stuff like that. So one thing that I do is I will keep my rear view mirror, so like I tend to, I don't know if it's common, but I kind of slouch a little bit, like my head's not right against the backrest when I'm driving. So if I put my head right against the back headrest, then I can see everything in my rear view mirror. But if I'm forward, I just see the top of the rear view mirror. So if there's someone that's right on my tail, I can kind of see them that way, and then if there's happens to be emergency lights or something, I can see those, but then the headlights aren't going to be right in my eyes. So between that and also with having the mirrors on the facing outward, you don't really ever have a problem with headlights bothering your eyes when you're driving at night too. So that's another benefit of that. So far, so good. It's not, doesn't feel like it's crowding the line. It seems to be going right down the center. There's someone behind me, so it's a good thing that I'm going right speed limit too. Now this is an unprotected left turn. This is a river road that people come flying from the right because it's 55 and then it turns 35 on the left. So this is one that you have to be kind of careful. And because the stop signs are regular sized, it tends to confuse FSD. Now I just gave a little accelerator because there's someone behind me. Give it a little more accelerator to try to get it to kind of go the speed limit. Beautiful day. It's 55 35 degrees. Thought about washing my car, but I ended up taking the Model 3 up to be parked right across from the Walmart exit so the for sale sign could draw some attention, and it seems like some people are writing down the number. Passed it a couple times and there's cars already there just checking it out, I think. So it'd be nice if I could get some people that are interested. Now, it's been kind of frustrating with the Facebook posts because there's ignorant people of a certain political persuasion that have been told how bad EVs are and been fed a lot of misinformation that they just kind of blurt back out. And it's one thing when you're in the middle of a forum or you see an article, you know, from Bloomberg or some news article that people are commenting on to make those, you know, misinformed comments. But when someone's post or where they're trying to sell their car, that's just beyond rude. That is just really crappy. You're a crappy person if you do that. For no other reason than for politics or something, I don't know. Here I am trying to sell my car and at a reasonable price, I think. I think it's a very reasonable price. The Edmunds private sale recommendation is right in that range that I'm selling it for, and it does have a lot of useful functional improvements like the comfort coilovers and the ceramic window tint. Oh, I gotta love that. Blowing the grass out onto the road so bikers can slip. People would learn. Now, one thing I did notice on 12.3 on the Model 3 is that it did seem to slow down for these railroad crossings here in town. Now, I don't know where it's going now. Okay. So that's a definite disengagement. Started to veer off to the right on a railroad crossing. And I don't know if that's useful at all. Just to make us feel better. I think it would be nice if we could be given some keywords that would be helpful, that would be common words for certain interventions. So then when they want to look them up, they can find it a little easier. Okay, so looks like the video is going to be really shaky. I don't know. The image stabilizers are there and working. This is pretty good. One problem I've had with 11.4.9 is if you see the seam going down the middle of the road there, there's a spot on Ohio 4 that they have it on both sides, and 11.4.9 would get mixed up and think those are the boundaries of the road, even though there's a yellow line, and then so try to get right in the middle of it, just cut right over the center line and start, oh, here it is. It's actually, you can see it's hugging the yellow line. Do a little bit of a slight weave. And it's only 155, and I'm having someone come out behind me, so I'll have to try to tap into a 60. This is what I was afraid of. Doesn't seem to be doing it too bad. hindsight, typically. But I don't know if it's coming up on camera where you can see this this seam that's in the road. So I guess I'll keep my foot on the accelerator, just like autopilot. So they finally fixed it. It took a few years of reporting several times different map applications trying to get it corrected wherever the map data is, but for the longest time the Tesla map software thought that this road right here is a 25-mile-an-hour zone. It's clearly not at the 25-mile-an-hour zone. Ohio revised code says that any unmarked, highway or road that's outside of city limits, and I'm not sure exactly, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, I don't know the exact wording, but it's 55 miles per hour. So, this is common knowledge in Ohio. It would be nice if those kind of rules were fed into the FSD so that it could adapt. So instead of having to rely on speed limit signs all the time, it could say, I'm outside of city limits, I don't see any markings, when in doubt, go 55. But there are some definitely cases along these routes where it will want to drop immediately to 25, not from any kind of road markings or misinterpretation of a speed limit, but just because it has bad map data that can't be corrected somehow. So, and yes, I am speeding a little bit. The typical in Ohio is to go 5 miles over. That's kind of the accepted norm for everybody. If you're not going 5 miles over the posted speed limit, you're going to be tailgated, and that's just more dangerous. It's better just to go 5 miles over. Now, with my radar detector, I can tell that I am going 61. It's actually, cycling between 59 and 60. It's kind of funny is I got that radar detector with the Model 3 and then proceeded to use it just as a GPS speed monitor to find out what speed I'm actually going, because the size of the wheels and the counts of the rotations and stuff, it's just not accurate to within 1 mile an hour sometimes. But with this one with 19-inch Geminis, it seems like it's within 1 mile an hour. With Model 3, I ended up getting 18s and going through a size chart to get a size that's bigger than the normal 18-inch wheels a little bit for diameter to balance out and come up with more of an accurate speed, so that when it says it's going 60, it's going 60. It still wasn't exactly accurate. To get the exact accurate one, it would have been too big for the wheel well, so I just went with a little bit smaller, so it's still a little off, but it's only off by 1. This one with the Geminis, it seems like it's off by about 1.5, because I can be going 60. Oh, let me take my foot off the accelerator so it can brake. Here's another case of one stop sign's large, one stop sign's small, and then this is a very busy highway going across that it has to turn left onto. And normally what I end up having to take over on this because it's just too hesitant. And I'll go ahead and give it the accelerator here just because there's people behind me. And as you can see, there's a hill here where a van was coming over. So if it was just hesitant and pulling out in the middle, I could have been T-boned. So that's a dangerous intersection for allowing FSD to keep control. I would call that a concerning intersection for FSD. Program one of these sexy buttons to just do climate off, because it just holding that number in. I'm not coordinated enough. I tend to turn the temperature up or down, and it ends up staying on when I want to turn it off. There's a farm up here that kind of necessitates having the climate control off because of certain smells, odors coming from it. It's a little ways down, but it's good to get it ahead of time. It's warm enough that it's actually heating the cabin of the car up to where I don't need any heat. It was actually cooling things down in here a little bit. I'm going down to 57 again. So definitely have to pay attention still with the speed limit, or the speed to see, because it'll, I don't know, the FSD's daydreaming, I guess. Oh, it tried to brake for that stop sign. I don't know if you can tell, but it was hitting the brakes. I'll go ahead and just try to stop for a stop sign back there. See, that's probably not helpful how I said that, but you know, it might have been too late. I don't know. Kind of wish it would give some options for feedback when you press the accelerator. Definitely sometimes goes right up against that yellow line, but it's not as bad as it was on 12.3 on the Model 3 at least. I think it's a good baseline. We can see that the yellow line's hitting that corner there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. So if the yellow line goes on the right of the corner, then you can tell it's hugging it. Let's bring down 55. Kind of beauty to Ohio around this area. Even in the winter, and even before there's green on the trees and green in the fields. It's just, at a certain point, it becomes kind of a beautiful, ugly. There's these ancient glacier lines, great little rolling hills along here, which were very problematic for early FSD and for Vision Autopilot initially when I was on the FSD stack on the Model 3. Even though the Model 3 has radar sensing, the disabled, it would still be in vision only software, and you could definitely tell it was degraded. It was so bad I actually was kind of shopping around looking at other EVs so I could be kind of prepared if something happened. We should be getting ready to turn here. One problem with 11.4.9 is that when it goes to turn, it'll get into these berms, these shoulders, and usually that's where the road debris kind of collects, and I don't want it to go there, so I'm glad it's not doing that here. Now this is the railroad track that 12.3 wanted to jump. It's like a more aggressive speed bump, essentially, for anybody that happens to be watching this still, that thinks that railroad tracks are all just flat. Well, in Ohio, because of the difference in elevation, they tend to often be like this, where it's like makes a little ramp, and it's going to be bad for the suspension if I don't slow down right now. Railroad track. This is one where you want to cross it at like 15 miles an hour. You don't want to be going over it at 50 miles an hour. If I do, I'll be going airborne, and I'll be needing alignment, maybe damaging some components. So there's another intervention that was necessary. It's interesting just talking to the recording is kind of making the drive go by just like I'm talking to a person. Except I'll never get to hear your point of view while I'm talking. So okay, got a little nervous with that oncoming truck. Shouldn't be slowing down just because a car is coming in the other lane. That's another issue that needs to be resolved, because there's just no need to be slowing down by 2 miles an hour. It's not going to do you any good if the person goes left to center. I mean, 2 miles isn't going to be enough of a difference. And there's nobody behind me right now, so that's good. But if there was, sometimes people tell me to tailgate, especially the way that this car is driving. To that yellow line, but not as bad as it was before. Again, it's kind of interesting because on the way back from Tiffin, after being in Lima overnight for the mom surgery, and then driving back the next day, I picked up my car and drove back to Norwalk. It was much better. It was at least as good as 11.4.9 on the way back, but then when I hit that next drive, it was just so bad. It was just like, okay, I can't rely on this. And it is a little bit to the left, more comfortable than what I'm used to. It feels kind of like the rearview mirrors over the center line, kind of close. See from the repeater cameras, there's a lot more gap, and of course in the graphic I was seeing that it was closer to the yellow line too. But still kind of favoring the yellow line, which is surprising because people claim that in the comments on these Facebook groups and forum posts and threads and everything else that it tends to be hugging the right side of the road, so it's the exact opposite issue for me. So if they happen to do an offset adjustment to shift it to the left a little bit, this car is going to be wanting to be right on the center line again. Which would be bad. See these little rolling hills. FSD can't see over them, so it slows down, which is fine, but then doesn't speed back up. I've seen a bald eagle in this area in the past. There's so much more common. In Norwalk, during the winter, there was a period where one of the reservoirs was not completely frozen over, and we had someone counted up to 40 bald eagles at around that small reservoir. It's eating the fish. Amazing. A species that was once endangered had 40 just in that one spot. People were coming around taking, professional photographers were taking pictures. I was taking amateur pictures with my phone. I purchased one of them that was really nice. It's now my wallpaper on my phone. Shows the eagle in flight. Sun's behind the cloud. This area is going to be in the totality of the lunar eclipse on Monday, and hopefully it's not cloudy enough that there's a cloud in front of the totality period when you can see the corona. It's kind of the big selling point of an eclipse, I think. I don't know. I really couldn't care less if it's just getting dark, or there's some blockage of the sun. That's just not that interesting. Shadows are a little bit interesting, that you get the shadows that are semicircles and blurry in one dimension and sharp in another, but that stuff's not that interesting to me. The big thing for me will be to see the coronal ejections. Maybe even see planets. But forecast right now for this area is there's a decent chance for some cloud cover, but it's going to be, they're expecting to be the higher atmosphere, thin clouds. So we should still be able to see through those to see the eclipse. So I'm not sure how much we'll be able to see with stars and planets with that, but hopefully we can get to see some of the detail on the coronal injections. But there's going to be plenty of YouTube videos showing that stuff too, so we need to see it live. Get warm. Okay, so this is the other problem that I had with 12.3 is slowing down. I don't want to get a speeding ticket coming into town. So it's going to go from 55 to 35 really fast. You can see the speed limit sign up ahead. And it's just coasting. So, trying to give me a speeding ticket. So that's a fail. 1149 doesn't do that. Oh, I shouldn't have upgraded. Oh, please let me roll back, please. And I'll just be having to intervene every time I get in town. It's going to be an intervention. This stop sign was a big problem for a while on 11.4. It got confused with that flashing red, I think. I don't know. And it would just not. I like that acceleration there. That's one of those places you don't want it to be creeping. Now here's where sometimes it wants to stop for the stop sign over there. See, it's slowing down. Kind of like acting like it wasn't sure. You're supposed to speed up, not slow down there. Got my foot on the accelerator now. Okay. Oh, it's right on the yellow line again. Bright side, it does get over, and as long as it doesn't go on that yellow line when it's approaching a crest, one of these little hills, then I guess that's not a big issue. And it's not ping-ponging quite as often as it was in 12.3. So the 12.3 was moving back and forth so frequently that it really did seem like if I was behind me, I would have thought I was drunk. That was a problem. And the fact that it is at least getting over when cars are coming, it's not swerving back and forth, so I don't know if it's going to just keep going as it's swerving to the left. I guess I can live with this. This is far from mind-blowing, though. Definitely not mind-blowing. So maybe I'm just not as forgiving as other people on it. I don't want it to do stuff that is going to be risky. And I want to make sure that if it does do something that is going to be risky, that I can intervene appropriately. And if I don't feel like I can do that, then I can't use it. Blows my mind is these people that complain that the car is giving them strikes and nagging them about looking, paying attention to the road. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've interacted with the screen. I've looked around and nothing. No, let me see. I'm just curious. If I go like this, how long before it tells me to pay attention? Look at this. This is uncomfortably long that I'm looking down the screen. I can't even do it anymore. I just don't know how people get these hits. Is it the glasses? Is it the hat? I don't know. Same story for both the 3 and the Y now. Before the transfer and after the transfer. How about those Model Y prices? Here I thought I was getting a great deal. Well, I mean, it still was a great deal, but I got $2,600 off of the listed price plus the $3,000 stacked offers to get into this Model Y with the tow hitch. Red, ultra red, and it was basically $2,000 off. The $2,000 off was because it was ultra red, so it was basically making it a free paint upgrade. which I don't really like the gray, but that would have made it that much cheaper. But for anybody that happens to be watching this, if you did buy a Model Y before the end of the quarter and you feel like, oh, there's a better deal now, just keep in mind, were you happy when you made your purchase or signed your lease contract, the day that you rolled the car off the lot? If the answer is yes, then don't worry about it. You got a good deal. It's just that there might be a better deal afterwards. It's the way it goes. But it's also the price that's coming off of lease inventory, not of new order inventory. So those are kind of like special prices that I don't think they're really going to affect the resale value so much as if you had bought it and there weren't any discounts, and then there were all kinds of price reductions from the MSRP, and then it actually does have an impact on the resale value. One thing I've learned with this Model 3 sale in a rural area is if you list it on Facebook, you get these, like I mentioned earlier, you get these posts that have where people just, you're posting in like the online sale for the area. There might be 50,000 users. They're selling everything from cars to knickknacks, sometimes clothes, but sometimes no clothes. And you post it, and before you even get a chance to get in there to do anything to turn commenting off, you have someone posting some kind of misinformation that's going to dissuade people from buying your vehicle. And it's that kind of mentality that's presented by Donald J. Trump. The negativity towards EVs that perpetrates through his base, that just infects their minds, and then they get confirmation bias on any negative thing they see. They don't really research if what they're saying is true, and then they spread that misinformation, and it just spreads like a virus. So people try to say that, oh, there's who's worse for Tesla in the long run. It's Donald Trump. No way it's not, because what ends up happening with this kind of stuff is, if I could turn commenting off, they put laughing emojis. I have like 3 laughing emojis on one of the garage sale listings. And I'm going to stop talking here a second. Tiffin's pulling in. Okay, it's going to make this person wait too long. I had to use the accelerator. It still has control. I didn't actually intervene though, so I just accelerated. So what happens is, one of the key factors, I think, for resale in the private sale aspect is that I might have to sell for less because people have been infected now with those comments. So it's just the way it is. Resale values go down because people will dissuade others from buying the used EVs. So I'm going to end the thing here.